we are.
We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Enlightened World Network's book club. We are the Soul Food Book Club, and we're so happy to be here today for our very first meeting to discuss the book. Last week, the author, Alison Robertson, came on with us and chatted with us about her book and the inspiration and everything behind her book. She can't join us today, but she will be here next week to join in our meeting. So today, we're just going to discuss how we are resonating with this book and what's going on. So I'm just going to go around and have each of you just say who you are and where you are. And if you've gotten into the book yet, where you're at in the book, let's just start with that. So who would like to begin?
Want to just go around? I don't know.
Sure.
My name's Jean. You guys, excuse me, I've got a cough drop stuck on the roof of my mouth and I can't talk. Can I, just a second. I know this is so rude. Okay, there, now I can talk.
Okay.
Okay, I have postnasal drip, so I tend to always have a cough drop in my mouth, but then it gets stuck on the roof of my mouth. I'm Jean Lorio. I'm in El Paso, Texas. And I started the book. I'm on chapter 5. I read all the way through chapter 4.
Okay.
At the beginning of the book, I love the book. You know, I want you to know I love it. The beginning of the book, I could not connect so much with her because her background is different than mine. Her background was with parents who pretty much gave her everything. You know, I mean, she comes from a well-to-do family. So that was not my background at all. So it took a while till I got further into the book that I started then connecting with her and resonating with her. And she's read a lot of the books that I've read and studied a lot of the things that I've studied. And I'm beginning now to really enjoy it. You know, at first I thought, well, this is just not going to be as helpful as Allie's book, you know, because Allie's book was very powerful for me. But now that I'm into chapter 4, I'm starting to really get the picture of her positive view of what what we need to have in the world to really be our best authentic selves. So yeah, so I'm really starting to enjoy it now. So I don't want to keep, everybody else needs to damage a turn. So
Thank you, Jean. I appreciate that insight. And I'm so glad that as you got into the book, you were starting to get into the positive message that's coming through for us in the book. Thank you for sharing.
Shall I go next?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, I'm Suzanne Millard, and I live in Pennsylvania, Royersford, which is suburbs of Philadelphia, 45 minutes out there. I finished chapter 3, like we discussed, and she writes witty. I love how she writes. It's funny for me to read, and I'm German, so sometimes I have to think twice of what I read. And some TV shows I can't relate because I didn't grow up here, so some references, but that's okay, I guess. It's nice, and me too, like Eugene, I compared to Allie's book because there were so many exercises, you know, I'm like, what are the exercises? You know, and you sort of just read, but that's fine. I'm open for anything that comes. So it definitely makes sense, and especially when she said, like, I wouldn't even think of that stuff, like the rule book or, you know, all that. That's for me like new. It's like, oh yeah, really? So learning, I enjoyed.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzanne.
Shall I?
I'm Christina.
I'm from Bowles, Michigan, which is a small town not far from Kalamazoo and Lake Michigan. I have really enjoyed the book. I too I didn't have the same background, but I went to school in a place that had a lot of diversity within it, especially when it came to finances. And so it was just another little reminder that just because someone has material things in life, the spirituality end of it is something totally different and separate, and that we are all equal in this on that vibration level. So I kind of stopped that talk in my head that, oh, this isn't going to be, I'm judging a book by its cover quite literally when I do that. So I quickly dismissed that and moved on. And I really enjoyed it right off the bat. From the author's note on, I started taking down notes of things that really resonated with me. I too appreciated the sense of humor. I definitely come from a point of view of laughter is the best medicine. I laugh at inappropriate moments, or what others might view as inappropriate moments. For me, they're always appropriate moments. I mean, to some degree. And definitely there were a lot of reminders that I'm sure we'll get into further on. So, but that's where I am. I've made it through all 3 of the chapters and really enjoyed them.
Awesome. Thank you, Christina. And I'll be seeing Christina soon live and in person.
So happy.
How about you, Kathy?
Well, I felt the same way as Jean did. I still have a little bit of, I don't know, it's something about the person that she's writing it in. She uses herself a lot. And I guess some people will do that. But I'm used to coaches kind of like separating themselves from the picture. She falls back a lot on people that she's already talked to, communicated with. Like, I was wondering, how many friends does this woman have? You know, I wish I had some friends like that, you know. But I'm more of the Allie O'Shea way. So to me, she's more of a coach. She's really helped me a lot, by the way. So more prompts to Allie O'Shea. But anyway, I'm already up to chapter 8, and that's mainly because I had a free weekend, which is rare. This past weekend, my daughter's back in college, so I had a lot of time on my hands to do some reading, which I needed. And I took a lot of notes, and don't get me wrong, I believe in a lot of the stuff that she says. It's just her referring to herself and her past experiences does nothing for me personally. But I mean, I've taken some of her points and I've already acted on them. I already have been journaling and researching ways to make myself more authentic, more of who I used to be, and more of somebody that others can look to and learn from as I go about my life too. So yeah, I have tons of notes, and I agree with a lot of things. But again, I'm trying to get past the author, because to me, I don't know. I like some of the things that she's saying, but I'm also questioning a lot of things too.
Okay.
So that's where I am right now.
Thank you. Thank you for being real with this, because, you know, we've got to express ourselves. And if there's something that hits us, then that's great. We can grab that, we can resonate with that. And I really appreciated the gratitude that was brought out for us to do exercises with gratitude. And the one that I really enjoyed was the exercise after chapter 3, to think about those people that we admire. And years ago, I would put people on a pedestal. It was like that person was like a god, it's like, I want to be like that person. And I realized, over the years and over spiritual growth, that we are all equal. We're all the same. There's no one greater than or lesser than. And so when we can look at that equality, but also look at what are we learning? Those people that we really look up to, like we've all pretty much mentioned Allie and what she has brought to us and what her book absolutely brought out in us. I think this book takes us not so much into the deep questioning that Allie's book did, but it brings it to that next level of, okay, I've done that deep search now. I did that deep dive. Now let me put it into some of the actions that I do every day. So the exercise at the end of chapter 3 was to think of 5 people that you admire. And you don't have to be totally in love with everything about that person, but what is it that makes them stand out? What makes that person stand out to you? And to list the qualities that you see in them that would make you be drawn to them. And when I was doing this exercise, I'm thinking about people like, one of my mentors is Lisa Nichols. I absolutely love Lisa Nichols. And I know she's human. I know she's fallible. I know there are flaws, just like all of us have flaws. But she brings out so much self-appreciation in you. She makes you really think about yourself and your journey and healing inside. So as I was writing down qualities of the people that I admire, the next part of the question was, how many of those do you have? How many of those qualities are inside of you? So I think that's what we're doing with going a bit further than the self-examination. We're looking at the commonality of us with those people we're drawn to. So I just wanted to see if any of you had that same experience as you did this particular exercise, to look at who is it that you hold up as somebody to listen to be fed by what it is that they put out in the world. And do you have somebody? Is there somebody that's kind of like your go-to that will lift you up and inspire you?
I paused right there because I did it this morning and I was like, okay, I have to think about that one, especially with the admiring part. I guess in the past too, I would have, blah, 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 but now I'm changing. So I'm really careful who I would admire, let me put it this way. So I'm going to give that a little time and thought, because I was like 5 people, not sure. Off the bat was like, you, Terry, you're cool, you have all those positive, like I could put you down, for example. But then it's just, I'm going to take my time on that one.
I came up short on that one too, because I was like, I wrote down the notes. I'm not sure I could name 5 people I admire. And then I thought, well, what does that say about me? I admire people for certain things that they have done. I admire like Allie O'Shea, because she's really been a positive in my life, especially when I needed it. But I say I don't have particular people that I admire right now, but I know what qualities are important to me and what I would want.
Kathy, we're just a little more serious about that, right? We don't just jot it down. So I feel like I'm like, let me think about that.
Yeah, it's something I just, yes, I admired my mother when she was alive and what she had done. She actually raised 2 families, because we lived right next door to my aunt, her sister, who had 8 children. And that aunt had schizophrenia and manic depression. So my mom basically raised all of us, 8 kids, not just the 3 in her own, but her her 8 nieces and nephews too. So I admire my mom, but there's different, I don't know if that's what she meant though. You know, somebody who you admire, like Dr. Fauci. I admire Dr. Fauci because he's working to end this pandemic. I do admire him. I also work for him in a way because I work for the NIH. But anyway, that's what I mean. That's a hard question for me. Who do I admire?
Your questioning about your mother, I think that is a perfect example of something to admire, that dedication, that commitment, that just the loving that has to go into raising all those children, even when you didn't give birth to them. So I think that's an amazing thing to say, I admire my mother.
Yes. She did. She took care of not only the kids, but she took care of her sisters as well. So, yeah. She was an amazing woman.
I'm sorry. I think that she's trying to, well, I may be way off the mark here, but I think she's trying to point out to us that the qualities that we admire in others are the qualities that we're strong in, or it's the qualities that we love in ourselves. I think, we don't think about it that much, but, this is an age when all the people we put on pedestals have feet of clay. I mean, so many things have happened that, we're like, not him. No, I couldn't believe, things like that. And I think that she's trying to show that, we're drawn to the people who have qualities that we want, that we see in ourselves. And I think it's very important what Christina said about now that we're becoming more spiritually aware, is I'm terrible at that. And, we can't exclude someone just because their background wasn't as hard as ours was. Or, we can't, everybody's growing spiritually. Everyone's understanding more about what it really means to be a human being and be connected to our world. And so I think that's one thing like that I've had to learn is that everybody's included in that. It's not just the people who've had the rough knocks or the people who, it's everybody. And I especially enjoyed, I don't know if you all noticed it, that quote she had from Marianne Williams. I don't know if you all know about Marianne Williams. She actually ran for president. Mm-hmm. So anyway, she was running. And she said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is not our darkness, but our light that frightens us. She goes on to say, we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. So, it's all of it is bringing us to the point that, we are important, and we got to shake the idea that we, I don't know everybody's background, but we've got to shake the idea that and if you ever read any of Don Miguel's Ruiz, she brings him up too. You read that, you get all depressed. I got so depressed. I mean, I was fascinated and I learned a lot from it, but it found it very depressing because he's pointing out how we've been brainwashed, or we've been, since we were little, to believe certain things, and we just get born in that situation, and I guess it's the illusion. We keep going and going and going. So anyway, I think that's what she's trying to do, and sometimes I go off the deep end, so I'm sorry about that. But I do, you know.
I 100% agree with you, Jean, on that. I really, really do. On all of that. I mean, like I just touched upon it, that some of the stuff, like I said right off the bat, wasn't connecting with me. I was going back to high school when literally we had kids that would have been going to an elite private school, but their parents put them in public school so that they would see how the other half lived. I don't know, you know what I, so I immediately had to dismiss that, because I had to remind myself that as I've grown as a person, as much as sometimes I don't care for social media, I've also reconnected with some people from high school. I went to a huge high school, but I would not have talked to them necessarily in high school. And yet, as an adult human being, they've grown, they've changed just like the rest of us have. And some of them have done very well for themselves. And I certainly wouldn't look at them now as a person and say, well, you just don't get my struggles. You know what I mean? Because, well, no, you don't. I'm me and you're you. And I'm certainly not going to say that money took care of every problem you've had in life, because I know better than that. I've seen it. I know that's not the truth. But I have to say, I had struggled with that. Who do you admire too? Mine is not complete, although I found this morning after I slept on it, I could come up with more people. But part of this pandemic growth that has been happening, or changes, was it became very apparent in less than a month that some people that I had put up on a pedestal, and it was me, not them. I can't, you know what I mean? I'm the one that made them into this person that couldn't be wrong. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been talking about this for years. Here's the time to go out and those people, I guess I had put a different perception in my head of what was going to happen when this time came with them. And because they didn't act the way that I had expectations. But anyways, to make a long story short, it's just, it's made my list of people that I would have said in January has almost completely changed, almost, and it's much shorter than what it was. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
I found that too, Christina. People that I used to think, oh my gosh, I really would love to follow in their footsteps. And it's like, I've shifted, I've changed. And that was in huge part due to the pandemic time, where we had so much time on our hands to really do that self-reflection, to do the inventory, and it changed me. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to hear the other experiences, because I know for me, that time of self-reflection was so instrumental in where I'm at today. It seems like it was just a short period that it was like we were going into lockdown, but it really has been most of this year. Honestly.
Well, January 15th, I got a phone call that my mom had a stroke. I have been saying for months now, January 15th, when I stepped off an airplane, I'm pretty sure I went through the Bermuda Triangle and have come out in a totally, that is really, it's like, holy cow, I went through the sickness with my mom. She passed away.
Oh,
We got her affairs in order, and thankfully we were able to have a funeral with her family and friends all there before we had the scare in place. And I'm grateful for that. And then I got back to Michigan on March 2nd. So all of the stuff that I thought was going to be in place, I mean, not all of it. I'm much more, at the time, I felt like all of it had been taken. The rug had just come right out from underneath me. And at the same time, I was having these different views. I'm a lot more sciencey than some of my counterparts in the holistic health field. And so there's a lot of tension that got created in that whole period of time as well. And then I didn't have my normal routine. I get back home and it's like, oh, we're in lockdown. What does that mean? Oh my gosh, we had to cancel a lot of travel plans. That is what I had set myself up for, and voila, there it goes. At least for right now, it will happen, but for right now, so it's just like all at once, that pandemic, my mom passing away, trying to get through the grief, and trust me, I still have times and that every day, to be honest with you, it's still every day that I am going through that grief, that it's a major loss. And anybody
Yes.
that loses mom, it takes a minute for those major grieving things. And so I'm still trying to work through a lot of that stuff, but it's things like this that keep me in line a little bit. It helps me focus on what I need to be focusing in on right now, I think. So
that's why I'm here. Yeah, this is a tough time of year. This is when I've had to say goodbye to my mom and my dad. My mom died 10 years ago, and my dad passed 22 years ago, and I'm still grieving. Every time this time of year comes around, it's always been like August and September, the time to say goodbye. I say goodbye to my daughter. She goes back to college. It's just, ugh. So,
and it's the seasons are changing. And so I think we have to, I was just writing a post for Zenlightenment as a gentle reminder that right now we're going through a seasonal change. It's autumn. It is so normal, and science has proven this in autumn changes, and we do go into a deeper reflection. Our circadian rhythms we're in line with nature, and everything's getting ready to turn inward again. We're gathering things for the future, like the squirrels with the nuts, and we're watching things change again around us. I mean, let's think about the drastic changes that happen in nature in fall, especially for those of us. And we're seeing it almost in the form of loss, although, like I say, they're not losing, they're just taking a nice quiet rest. But we see things like the leaves starting to turn, and it's almost like starts a feeling of self-reflection, and loss comes back into play in the autumn. And so I think that might be even accentuating all of the other stuff that's happening right now in the world. We forget sometimes that we're still in tune with nature and on her rhythm, and that some of this stuff just appears because you're absolutely right. It is this time of year for stuff to come up. It is.
And I think the vibrations that are going on in the world right now and what's happening with Mother Gaia, it's intensifying that to a degree that's really high right now. And, so we're feeling that sense of change and loss and, to a higher degree, just really what you were saying. And yeah, I think you're right. We have cycles just like the animals do. We do.
That's true.
I think we forget sometimes that we are nature. We talked about nature like it's separate, but we sometimes forget that we
We're
are
part of it.
nature.
True.
Right, we are that. Whatever it is that we even think is outside of ourselves, we are that. We are enough. And that's, I love how that is what we're working on, is that whole concept of our worthiness. And, we began the journey with Ali's book, really taking us deep. And now we're continuing it with seeing the enoughness of who and what we are. And I love that. So all of the changes that are happening, all the shifts, everything that we're going through, what do you do to feed yourself, to nourish yourself on that soul level? What are some of the practices that you participate in?
So I have to
Journaling
say,
is, oops, sorry,
go
Christine.
ahead. I've been talking so much.
Okay.
Journaling has been really important to me. I started writing about the pandemic, and it's the focus of my writing right now. And I'm not a writer. I want to be. It is a goal. It is a goal to write a novel about living through this pandemic of mine. And I already have like umpteen pages of handwritten documentation along the way through when the lab that I work for, when we started to have to telework. Telework go in a couple days, telework the other days. I had this all down in notes and how it affected my family and what it was like going to the grocery store for the first time, having to wear a mask. I never was one that wore gloves, but I always took my wipes and wiped down the carts and things like that. I documented all of this, and I'm hoping I can somehow turn a bad thing into a good thing. It's not really a bad thing. It's just a challenge. It's just another challenge in life that we go through, that we have to go through. And I'm starting to see some hope now. The vaccine should be ready by the end of the year. One of the vaccines, I know 2 of them are in phase 3. And I will be right there to get it whenever it's available for the rest of us. I mean, they're going to try to give it to the ones who have the comorbidities and things like that. So, our Maryland, the state of Maryland where I live, is in its phase 3. Our businesses are opening up on Friday. All of them, even movie theaters. So that starts on Friday. And so I see this as a hope, They're still going to be pushing wear your mask, use social distancing. I don't know how you can do that in a movie theater, but I don't plan to go to the movie theater anytime soon. But, hey, I will keep on practicing the mitigations. And I just see it as a positive. It'll prevent the flu too by wearing the mask. So that's where I am with this. It's helping me find another purpose in life. My dad always used to say, before he died, he wanted to make sure he fulfilled his purpose here on earth. And I've always had that in the back of my mind. Well, what is my purpose? So that's where I am now, trying to answer that question about myself. Okay, I'm done talking. Sorry.
And I'm hoping that, the books that we are choosing to look at and to discuss are helping with that process. I know they're helping me.
They are.
it brings more clarity, I think, to our purpose and our path that we're here for. And to really look at that and focus
Absolutely.
instead of what's wrong with the world. It's like, what's my role? That's what it's helping me with. What's my role in all this?
I'm looking through my notes right now, and like I said, this book actually had me at the author's note, and so I started right there. But the caterpillar isn't running around every day freaking out that something hasn't happened yet. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's useful. So I wrote that down. The other thing right off the bat that drew me in, oh, excuse the dog barking, somebody's here, is a jack of all trades is not a bad thing. We are multifaceted and get to embrace them all. Now, I have to say that was extremely freeing for me. I have been struggling because for some reason, I don't know why, I thought my purpose meant one thing. And that if I didn't have something that I zeroed in on and became the master of it, that I just wasn't, I guess, good enough, or that wasn't good, you know. And so I found that to be magical words for me to hear at this point in time, because I was really, truly struggling with why, you know, what's my purpose in life? So that to me sounds like a one sentence answer. And that's what I had in my head was that one sentence. I don't have one sentence, and I didn't think it was okay. So I really appreciate that she put that in. I also thought it was important, and since we're talking about self-care right now and how we're getting through, you know, the difficulties, the HALT, the HALT, to perhaps put aside the super deep work for later, not forever later, but maybe just in an hour. But if you're hungry, if you're exceptionally angry, if you're feeling exceptionally lonely or exceptionally tired, those are all times to stop and pause and maybe reconsidering delving deeply into something that is going to require a lot of your energy to work through. And so that was good to hear. You know, it's okay for right now. Like I said, I've been struggling with the grief on top of it. And it's like some of these deeper questions, I'm like, hang on, I'm still raw over trying to get through these. You know, it's still raw. And so, yeah, so it was good. I thought that HALT was a good kind of a self-care message for us all. That there are times that it's okay to say, no, I'm not doing this inner spiritual work right now. But I am by going and getting my rest. And I am doing that work by refilling myself. And that is just as important and just as much as the work that goes. I mean, because to me, it's like when people take a nap and they're like, oh, I slept all day. It's like, well, you healed all day. Do you know how much healing goes on in the body while you're sleeping? You know why? Look at it as you're not getting work done. Some scientists say the most work gets done while you're sleeping on your physical body. So why do we feel guilty about that and say that we're being lazy? You know, I don't know. Just that to me just felt right when I read it. That yes, there are times that perhaps you should do something else and not drain yourself further. Even if you think you're delving into something wonderfully deep and spiritual, that it's still okay to take a break and a pause.
I can relate to that, the jack of all trades, like you said, Christina, because I'm in that situation too. I have a degree, but I can't use my degree in the States here. And I'm harping on that. And I was going to go back to community college and do that degree again. And then I was just, but I didn't enjoy it the first 10 years I did it, you know, but why would I go back? Because that's just what I am. That's who I identified with work-wise. And then now it's sort of like, ooh, maybe you could do something else. I don't know what, but possibilities are endless. So I don't know what's coming. We'll see. But I decided not to do that. It's medical assisting. I used to be that in Germany for a decade and it was okay, but it's not my dream. So I don't know what's coming. But that book too, and Terry, you told me that before, just, go with your instincts. But that book also liberated me a little bit to say, it's true, there's other things you can do. Yeah, so I agree.
Sometimes we waste so much potential in this country because of, like, she's qualified to do a very important job. She should be allowed to do it. They
It shouldn't be that hard to
should give you
get the same
master's.
degree.
Yes.
No, it's not good. And I managed a doctor's office in Germany. I did everything. And
I know.
here my diploma isn't even acknowledged as high school diploma. And I have a 2-year training and I finished a German school, and here I would have to get a GED and then start from scratch. So,
So why
but
didn't you
maybe
that
it's meant to be. Who knows? I'll see what's coming.
There's got to be something for you.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I'm sorry. In chapter 4, she's starting to get into how the mind works. I don't know if I know that Kathy's read it, but the RAS, the you don't think, and I'm not scientific enough to understand some of it, but your mind has to decide things when you're confronted with a situation. It has to, like, clear what's important, what's not important. It brings in stuff from your memory, your long-term memory, that they think might be related to what it is. So you've got this massive computer in there doing all this work. And it's just like, I think, a real computer. Sometimes you get glitches, because it doesn't know what's the most important thing that you need to do. It's just trying to put it all together. And we've got to calm our minds and do that ourselves. And that's interesting. I didn't read enough of it to be real thorough, but I've always enjoyed learning how your mind works. Because, being a teacher, I've tried all the little tricks to get kids to be able to file it in their file cabinets and ground it here, and, so that they can remember. Because a lot of young people nowadays have no memory. I mean, they just, they're all, not that I really appreciate our young people now. A lot of them are growing up with values that I admire. They care about Mother Earth. They care about things and relationships that we didn't even think about. We threw our trash wherever. I mean, let's face it. I mean, my mother taught me to go pick it up, but most of the kids didn't. But, but they have this, they're right in the now, in the visual, because they do so much visually with their computers, and then it's gone, and so anyway, I'm not teaching anymore. So I don't need to worry about it that much, but it is an interesting thing about how the mind works. So she's really gone into this quite thoroughly now that we've discussed it. She really has. Yeah.
I love learning these things too, and the scientific part of it. I'm a real follower of Heart Math Institute, who does a lot with science and spirituality. And, it just amazes me that we already knew this stuff, and now science is saying, oh yeah, there's some validity to that. So I'm looking forward to that chapter 4. I haven't had a chance to get into it yet, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that
I
and
do
being
that.
able to discuss it in depth in our next meeting that we have next week.
Yeah, Suzanne, I noticed too, part of this book talks a little bit about the American dream and how that American dream can actually, in some ways, be detrimental to our own thinking because it's put this dream as, I mean, from our perspective as Americans, we've heard about this American dream all of our lives, I believe most of us have. And it kind of put in perspective too of, no, that's a cultural dream. That's not your dream. Why are you making this cultural? And so you might be falling into a little bit of the American dream as being this cookie cutout kind of a thing. And really it's limiting our growth, quite frankly.
It's got to be your personal dream. It's got to be what you want.
Mhm.
But it's interesting because when my kids were still younger, they both graduated school now. But when we still were, you know, like in the school age, when you meet the parents, the first thing you hear is, I went to college here or here. And I could never relate because I did go to college in America. So I was always sort of excluded from this conversation because that's all it revolved around was their past with the colleges and their degrees. There's nothing beyond that. And and maybe it's me because I'm so different anyways. I like more, here's a nice oak tree, you know, or here's a nice mineral or so. Nobody here in the Northeast, it's hard to find people that are like that. It's very fast-paced, career-oriented, you know, from Maryland, Kathy, right?
Well, I'm really from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or
Oh, hey.
originally.
Yes.
So you know, I can relate to, I don't like when somebody starts talking about their degrees, I go deaf because, you know, that's not what important to me.
But that's what everybody did. My alma mater, I guess that's what you call it, is yep, yep, and yet. And I'm just always quiet because I
Mhm.
went to Germany to medical assisting school. So
And to me, that's cool. I'm fine with that. That's why I said
thank you.
it shouldn't matter
I have
here.
all the skills. I could do it all. I just don't have
Right.
where to use them.
It's
So
ridiculous to me.
Well, it's
It
like
is.
Allison
Like
said.
for a better
we're
tool,
not what
quite
we
frankly.
do.
It might have been better.
maybe life has something else in store for me, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
He says we're not what you do. You know, people say, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, you know, we're not what we do.
Right?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's what we do, but we are so much more. We are loving trees. We are, you know, those are the qualities that
And
make.
Jin, you're absolutely right because that's who I am. I'm looking at that person. But all those people were just talking about their colleges, you know, and I'm trying to look at your heart. And I'm pretty good at that. I look like straight in them. And
There's a gift.
mhm. And it's
Absolutely.
way more fun than talking about college too, you know, just to get to know the person.
Yeah.
This person.
Well, I never had the 4-year experience, so I don't know. I did 2-year college, but I consider myself a laboratory professional.
Mhm.
Still, it doesn't matter that the other person went to 4 years and I only went to 2.
Yeah,
I'm doing
no,
the same work.
totally.
All my
So,
degree gave me the key to teach. I was already a teacher. We're all
Right.
teachers. It's our human nature to teach and to
yeah,
I think, you
but
know.
I just don't want to teach kids.
Well, yeah,
Sorry.
you know, I mean,
Not my calling.
but you know, I bet you enjoy teaching what you know to somebody else.
I do.
If you have you know, a apprentice at your place, you just love
Yes.
teaching them what you know. We're born teachers. We all are.
We are.
How come we have children so we can teach them?
That's right.
What grades did you teach, Jean?
Excuse me?
What grade levels were you teaching?
I taught all the way from 6th to 8th.
Middle.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Bless you.
I know.
It's great.
That's really crazy.
I know that now because I'm to God, I have said for years that middle school has to be the most obnoxious age that there is.
That's right.
But oh, bless you. Oh, those kids
You
were
know
so
what?
lucky to have
It's
you.
such an important time. They're so wonderful. They're at that age where they're going to go one way or the other way. And if you can kind of just influence something in them, give them a love of something that they can do. And also, they tell teachers, don't teach morals, don't teach all this stuff. How can you not? First of all, the best teachers should be an example. I'm not saying that they should be putting their ideas on the kids, but kindness is a universal thing. You can be kind to each other. You're not teaching something that's wrong.
Yeah.
So I loved that age because of the fact that you could really make a difference. And I don't know.
And you did. I know you did. Like I said, you must be such a blessing to so many children's lives that you touched in your career. Because
And
I
the
can't think
parents.
of a better person to do that. And now that explains why you are such a sweet and patient person. I just love you to death.
Well, you do have to be patient. Boy, do you.
But you're so right. We do teach by example.
Ew.
And we can't give what we don't know. So, Jean, you have that love inside of you. And that's what comes through. And that patience.
I love my kids.
Your love. Yeah. And we all do. We all teach what we know. And I love that part that was brought out, that you're not what you do.
No.
You're all of those things that bring you to the table, but what you do adds to all of that. But you're not just that. You're pure love inside of you. So I love that, in Allie's book, we answered those deep questions of who are you? That was one of the first questions. And we're like, oh my gosh, having to really look at that. And then in this book, it's brought out, you're not what you do, you're who you are with everything, all the experiences that you've had in this lifetime. That's who we are.
Where in the book, doesn't it ask you what do other people say you are or something like that?
What they say about you, yes.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know what people think about me,
Well, she was talking about, like, if people say you're so funny.
Yeah.
And how some people will take that thinking that they never take them seriously, that they think that they're just, a kidder and they never take them seriously. They take it as a negative instead of taking it as a positive, which
Right.
means that they're funny. They're just really funny and fun to be around. So she did bring that out a lot, that we sometimes, it's like when people say, I hear this a lot. I'm sorry. But you're so cute. And you always think, well, okay, you're seeing you as this little gnome with these little legs that go like, and that's not what they're meaning, but that's the way you take it as, So
I see it though as an opportunity, because for me right now, because I'm just starting with all that, I somehow feel like a blank canvas. And now with this time, like we all say, a lot of things change, our views and stuff. There is a lot of opportunity with this to how to view yourself and what to bring into your life and all that. I was like, just all those open doors now. I'm like, yay, let's play with it. Let's see what's going to come of it. Because I mean, I don't care what somebody thought of me 20, 30 years ago, or from my high school days or whatever. And now there are a lot of people left my life and a lot of new people are coming in. So like Terry, Kathy, Christina, what do you think of me or something like this? Those are all new opportunities. Oh, Jean, man, I just met you all. So we can build together.
Right.
We
I
can.
see it as there's a lot of hope.
Like
with
that.
that.
Yeah. And we can listen to others and take what resonates and say, oh yeah, maybe
I do that.
maybe I am funny.
Yeah.
Maybe I am amazing. You know, when you hear it over and over again, it makes you start to think, oh, am I really? You know, so you look at what qualities you're putting forth that somebody's going to say to you, you're amazing. I love you.
Yeah.
And take that. How hard is it for us to take compliments?
Very,
Sometimes
very
we
hard.
deflect away from it, don't we? We laugh about it, or we're like, is that really me? We start to question, am I that? And yes, we are. We are amazing. So yeah, I think these books, they're helping us to bring that out, to really look at who we are as a spiritual being, that we are all of that. And that's not an ego thing. That's not a overconfidence. That is self-confidence in who we are.
And I
that-
think you can take,
You'll read that in chapter, what is it, 7? Ego. She talks about ego.
I think you can just take what resonates from every book, like the Elio She book, this book. You know, you can take what resonates and then build on that. You don't have to. I'm not able to internalize everything about the whole book and stuff. I just what clicks, and then I think like, yeah, that works for me. So, and then it brings the tone is positive. You're in this positive mindset with it. That's what the books do, I would say. They bring you into positivity, for me at least, positive thinking. So.
Yes, I love it. And I have loved this discussion today. You all are amazing. Take that.
Rock.
Yes, for you to come on here and just express yourselves openly and, you know, not hold back and not sugarcoat anything, but yeah, this is what I got, or this is what I didn't get. And, you know, look at the experience of going through all of this self-examination and how we interact with each other and what is shaping our lives right now, this experience that we're going through.
Can I
So-
throw this in there? Because this is Ellie's book. This is for me a huge thing to come on Zoom because I was scared to death. I don't do Zoom like, so I really had to force myself. And this is what the previous book said, right? Do something, get out of you or whatever you're in.
Comfort
So,
zone.
yay. I congratulate myself. Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. I really am.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. And
You guys are not as scary as I thought.
Thank
like-
goodness.
take a step. You know?
I can't picture Jean being scary at all.
Dean is just kind, very kind and loving.
We had
She
a
is.
wild
I know
haired
better. I know
Yes.
better than to think that the quiet, kindly, patient, I would not want to see the other side of you because I think it would be a wicked force to deal with.
Ah,
That teacher with the ruler, right?
She didn't need a weapon. I think when people like her have gotten fed up with something, it can clear a room quicker than anything I've ever seen.
We'll have to watch out for that. We'll see if it comes out.
You better, huh?
Silent weapon.
I think it's a big tribute. Well, not just to you, Terry, to you mostly, but to all of us, that we have such a love and arrangement between us, that we can feel free to say all these things. I don't feel like I'm a stranger. I don't feel like I'm letting go of deep secrets that are going to get spread. I mean, it's such an atmosphere that we can really talk, you know, and just talk from our hearts. And I love that. I just love that.
yeah, I was worried about how people would say if I was judgmental about the author. And I know it sounds judgmental. It's just that she is where I I don't come from like that. It's not that my background is that much different or anything like that. It's just, I didn't relate when she kept trying to bring herself into the situation too much, using her own experiences to coach others. To me, I thought this was going to be more of a coaching book like Allie's. And I assumed wrong, of course, don't we all sometimes?
Yes.
But at the same time, I am still getting the messages. So she's got it well organized. It's
You don't have to love everything. I mean, let's face it.
that's what I was worried about coming on today. That really, I thought, oh my God, they're gonna look at this girl in this chair thinking she's all high and mighty about.
No. Because some things resonate with some people, other things, I mean, and I think, it's kind of when I do massage therapy, if I've worked with somebody and I don't think that I have what's going to be the thing that you need as on my table, I am more than happy. I have a list of other massage therapists that specialize in certain things or with certain patients. And so I will send them out because it's okay. If I might just be that pathway for you to move on to what you need to go to next. It may not be the be all end all, but I might just be a stepping stone, and that's all good too. So, yeah.
And I have to say, I haven't taken a single note. You're all like, it took so many notes. Like but I mean, like with Ellie's book, I did all this writing and and it started with bang, but this I sort of just read. I don't feel it necessary to take notes. I just broadly absorb it, I guess, So
different way.
It's okay. There's no rules. There's no, you have to do it like this.
Yeah.
Whatever the experience is for you, it's the way it's supposed to be for you. And Kathy, I want to thank you for feeling free enough to express yourself. And there is no judgment. This is a non-judgment zone. Whatever is said here, that's your voice. And you're always welcome to speak with your voice. So whatever it is, there's no judgment, there's no criticism as we go through this. It's our experience. And that's what we're sharing here in this book club, our experience. Thank you for being here. Thank all of you for showing up today and for being here, and those of you in the audience that were watching and hopefully reading this book along with us. We'd love to have you come in next week and add your voice to ours as we come in to discuss the next 3 chapters, or ever how far you've gotten, what you're getting from the book and this experience. And I think just sharing the things we're sharing is helping all of us. It's helping us all grow as we go through this. So I really appreciate it. And thank you to the doggie that's joining us with Suzanne.
Luna. He's so pretty.
He's a good doggy.
He or she.
I can see that. It's gorgeous.
So beautiful. Hey.
Good to look, Luna.
Hi.
Luna.
Oh, beautiful Luna.
He's my angel.
Oh,
Yeah,
somebody's sleeping.
They're angels in fur.
Ringo, are you asleep? He's asleep.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to end the show today, and thank you. Another fur baby. Oh, cute.
Beautiful.
Lily. She wants me to kick her ball right now. She thinks I'm getting ready to come out, and she's getting all excited because she's like, "Oh, Mom's gonna kick the ball." I gotta go.
They need their playtime.
Yeah.
So we are going to end the show, and thank you all for being here. This was a real blessing to come together and get some more insight into the book.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Love you all.
Love you.
And Kathy, thank you. And Julie and Robin, thank you in the audience. And we'll see you next week at the same day of the week and time. And hopefully you can join. And the author will be here with us next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss her again. She's probably glad.
Oh, no. We love you all. I mean, when you write a book and you put that out there, it's like, you want to hear the feedback. And that's what she says. She wants to hear feedback from us.
Yeah, I
So,
might make a comment here, but I'll be physically at work. Today I'm working from home. Well, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be. I'm
we
gonna get right on that.
won't tell anybody. Okay. I love you all so much. And
I love you all.
Bye.